Good morning. Happy Travel Tuesday and welcome to Happy Trails Hiking. My name is Kay and I am happy that you're here with me today. Today, like I said, is Travel Tuesday and I have a great guest for you coming up. We're going to talk about traveling to Ireland. This should be amazing. I'm so excited. All right, we've got a great room already here in our chat. Let me say hello to them, and then I will get to our interview. Desmond Donders is here from Scotland today. Marty's Crew, Our Family Adventures. Our Haunted Travels Panic D. Gary from Life on the Trail. Food Forest Permaculture. Deb Shane, as well as Lori Bryant. It is great to see everybody here today. For those of you who might be joining us and might be new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe and hit that like button. If you don't know exactly how to chat in the live chat, there should be a live chat button. If you're on your mobile device, it'll be under the video. And if you are on your desktop, it will be up at the top. Probably should have shown up when you logged in. If you are not a Google user, then you'll need to create a YouTube account. Thank you all so much for being here. And I can't wait to introduce our guest any longer. So our guest today is Jody Halsted. She is an unrepentant traveler. I love that. Freelance writer, podcaster, and author of the award-winning book, Planning the Ireland Vacation of Your Dreams. It was Jody's passion for Ireland that led her to create Ireland Family Vacations, to share the magic of Ireland and inspire other families to explore the island's many wonders. Though she's not been everywhere in Ireland, her family travels annually, if not more often, to those verdant shores, always exploring new locations and making new friends along the way. When she's not traveling, Jody is planning amazing Ireland vacation for families and groups, shuttling her daughters to dance and sports activities or attending genealogy workshops, hoping to find her first Irish ancestor to arrive in America. When she's not in Ireland, Jody loves to load her family in their RV and explore off the beaten track across the U.S. Everyone help me and welcome Jody to the show. Thank you for being here, Jody.
I am so excited to talk to you today. I love to talk Ireland, and you might not be able to get me to shut up. So if you need me to cut it short, let me know.
Oh, we'll be just fine. Everybody's saying hello in the chat.
I see that. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, Jody can see the StreamYard comments and things. So if you have a question for Jody, make sure that you put at Happy Trails Hiking, because Jody hasn't typed into the chat yet. So now you won't get her in, but her YouTube channel is below, and she has lots of Ireland videos and tips and things. And she also has a podcast, which you should check out, but we'll get to all that later. So I have a few questions for you today. Yay. Let's kick off with the first one. You are known as a travel expert for traveling from the U.S. to Ireland. Mm-hmm. How did it all get started? Because that's what we all need to know, right?
So about 20 years ago, I made my first trip to Ireland, and it was solo. It was just myself and a map and a book of B&Bs. I was probably, I tell people I was too stupid to realize I should have been worried about driving on the wrong side of the road. And the minute I touched down in Ireland, I had this overwhelming feeling of I belong here. Mm. And I cried when I left after that 10-day trip. And I just loved it so much. I felt a longing to go back. And once I was married and had my first child, we actually went back when she was just a year old. And I realized what a terrific place it was to travel with children. And so we continued doing that, and it just kind of grew from there.
Wow, that's great. That's kind of like me with the national parks. I have to go back now. But yeah, I've never traveled to Ireland, so I bet it would be the same. That's really, really, really cool. I love that you loved it so much that you wanted to share that with your children and your husband. That's really cool. So Inspired John just came into the chat, and he actually wanted to know about travel from Ireland to North Ireland. So can you talk a little bit about some of those logistics?
So there is no hard border between the Republic of Ireland in the south and Northern Ireland. They are two separate countries because Northern Ireland is part of Great Britain, but there is no hard border anymore. There used to be, but it's been 30 years maybe.
Oh,
Now with Brexit, this has kind of come up again, but all sides are saying there will be no hard border between the Republic and Northern Ireland. Right now, you really don't even know when you've crossed the border. If you cross on like a major highway, you will see that the speed limit changes from kilometers to miles. And that's really about the biggest change, unless you happen to go through a town that is flying the Union Jack. But if you're on a smaller country road, some of those weave kind of in between Ireland and the north, and half the time you have no idea which part of Ireland you're in. So there's really no barrier to traveling between them. Some car rental companies might charge you a fee if you go into Northern Ireland with the car because you are switching countries. But other than that, right now there is no hindrance.
okay. Well, that's good to know, even if, even if it isn't a big impact, I guess if there were a big impact, it would be even better to know. So you've traveled across the US too.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference in traveling around Ireland once you get on the mainland in traveling around the US? I mean, it's smaller, but
right.
What's the main difference?
So the biggest difference, the most obvious difference, is that in Ireland you drive on the other side of the road. So your car, instead of the driver's side being on the left, the driver's side is on the right. Instead of driving on the right side of the road, you drive on the left. So that is the biggest difference. But it really doesn't take that much time to get used to, because in both cases, the driver is at the center of the road. So as long as you remember that the driver is to the center of the road, it's very easy to get used to. Now, most vehicles in Ireland are a manual transmission. So if you cannot drive a stick shift and you need an automatic, that is something that you have to be sure to ask for. It does come at a bit of a premium. It will cost you more to rent an automatic vehicle, but really that's the biggest thing, I think, is the driving.
Okay. So I guess I wondered if there was I don't know, is there as much traffic there as there is here? Like Dublin's a pretty big place.
Dublin is incredibly busy, and you never, ever, ever want to drive in Dublin City. It has the most people per capita in Ireland. It's a very busy city. It's also very compact. So a lot of the time it will take you longer to get someplace by car than it would if you just walked.
Okay.
Once you get out of the city centers, though, it's very rural. Ireland is a very rural country. So it's almost, it gives me the feeling almost of driving kind of in Southwest Iowa, unless you're at the coast, obviously.
Okay.
But it's
Then
rural,
not like Southwest Iowa at all.
it's rural. It's farming communities. It's small towns. It's little villages. So it's very easy. You also want to be aware that unless you're on one of the motorways, the roads are thin or narrow, often lined by hedgerows or brick walls, and slow. So you're not zipping around at 60 to 70 miles an hour, or even kilometers an hour, even though a lot of these roads are an 80-kilometer-an-hour road. You're going to be going quite a bit slower than that, just because they're very curvy. You may encounter sheep or cows or farm equipment, and you want to be in control of your vehicle at all times. But it's when you're interior in Ireland, it's very rural and has a slower pace. When you're at the coasts, then you have the dramatic scenery, the cliffs, the beautiful roads that kind of wind through them, and you have that, your heart might stop depending on where you are. It's like you're going to drive right off the edge. but again, it's slower, but there are some places that are very, very busy. The Dingle Peninsula, the Ring of Kerry, the area around Doolin near the Cliffs of Moher. Those places get very busy and very congested. But if you stay away from those, you'll find Ireland has a really relaxed pace, a very rural feel, and it's just a wonderful spot to visit.
Cool. There are some people who have been. Desmond Stonder says there will be no border change until January of next year, and then the transition agreement ends, and then you'll need a passport. So,
and you know, I watch this really closely, and they go back and forth on that. They go back and forth. I mean, and then you have all the proponents of a united Ireland. And 5 years ago, I would have said I wouldn't see a united Ireland in my lifetime. And when I was just there in January, I was asking a lot of people what they thought. And many of them really think we're going to see a united Ireland sooner rather than later. So it's something that I think is still very much in flux.
Oh, cool. Justin and Christina's RV van life was just in Dublin not too long ago and says it's a great city. Rachel Rawson says Dublin and Belfast are crazy but fun. And it said went to a street party in Belfast 2 years ago and it was nuts, she says. So it's really neat that I love my global audience. For those of you who might just be joining us, this is Jody, and she has authored a book, and it is a travel expert on Ireland, and is the author and creator of Ireland Family Vacations.com. And she's talking about Ireland today. So if you have any questions about traveling to Ireland, especially from the US, please feel free to stick those in the chat.
I see Justin just said they have a local whiskey called Powers. I was actually on a Powers whiskey tour when I was there in January. It is an exceptional whiskey. The St. John, the John's Gate by Powers is really a great whiskey, even if you're not a whiskey drinker. So yes, Powers whiskey is really good.
There you go. Good recommendation right there. And Desmond Stonder says that he likes the Feckin whiskey over there.
I have a Feckin story to tell.
Oh, do you?
Well, okay, so Feckin is actually a saint. It's not spelled that way. It's
okay.
Fechan. I think I might have the spelling wrong, but there is a town called Feckin, and there is a church there for sale. And I keep telling my husband we need to buy it and turn it into an Airbnb, because then we could have the best Feckin church that you could rent in Ireland. Way off topic now. Sorry. We can continue on.
Oh, all righty. Thanks for your expertise on your and very careful pronunciation there. I appreciate it. Wow. Okay. So please I'll go through and make sure the subtitles are correct. Thanks. All right. Wow, Red. Next question. So I don't have kids. But I can imagine that international travel with children has its challenges, to say the least. What are a couple tips you would offer for parents that want to take their kids to Ireland?
So I actually have been traveling with my kids since they were wee little infants. Both of my daughters took their first plane rides at about 3 months old. So, and now they're teenagers. So we've been doing it a very, very long time. The first thing I would say is, and this doesn't matter if you're going internationally or not, is to just travel with your kids, because the more they're used to it, the easier it's going to be. So whether it's day trips to start out and then longer car trips and then working into international, just travel with your kids and make it an event. They'll understand it more than if you've never traveled with them and suddenly you're putting them on a plane for an 8-hour ride. So first of all, just take your kids, go places with them.
Sure.
The second thing I would say is, if you are going on a flight and your children are under 2, put them in their own seat for safety reasons, and B, put them in their car seat. Turbulence on a plane is dangerous, and you never know when it could happen. Sometimes pilots will hit a very rough patch without any notice and notification. And if that baby is on your lap, they're a projectile. So just spend the extra money. Some airlines, if you call to book your seats, will have reduced price seats for children. Get your children their own seat, put them in a car seat, and just be really safe about it.
Cool.
As far as traveling to Ireland with kids, it's an amazing country for families. First of all, they speak English, so there's very little language barrier. Once your ears get used to hearing the beautiful lilt of the language. But there's no language barrier really. And because outside of the city, it's so wide open and pastoral, it's really easy for you to let your kids roam. So when my girls were very little, we would visit all these out of the way, almost unknown castle ruins and just let them wander. Now, granted, they had to avoid the sheep poop and things like that, because all of these OPW heritage sites, they're on private land. They're privately owned, but they're maintained by Ireland, by the state. So, they're grazing land. So you might have to miss some animal patties, but there is really no place better to just let your kids explore these wonderful ruins, and you don't have the crowds at a lot of these places. So beyond that, just know that especially when it comes to time changes, children adapt better because they can sleep in those airline seats. And unlike adults, right? They curl up, they put their head on your lap, and they're done. They're out. So they adapt really, really well. Plus, if you're in a car, they're not driving, so they can nap in the back. So don't let a fear of how are they going to handle the time change, or they're not going to like the flight. Don't let that hold you back. Just travel with your kids, get them used to the experiences, and go.
Cool. Marty's crew says, my wife's dream is to visit Ireland someday. Now, he doesn't have, he has 4 children, but they're not little children. They're all teenagers at this point, I think. But I wanted to show your vacation planning website or page for a minute and have you talk about that quick. Let me pull that up. So if you are interested in planning an Ireland vacation, Jody does this for people.
I have a lot of options. When I built Ireland Family Vacations, when I first started it, it was meant to be a resource, and it still is. It's a massive database, really, of things to do around Ireland, places to stay, experiences to have. There are thousands and thousands of articles on it. But beyond using it as a resource, I have free itineraries on there. So if you want to kind of plan your own vacation, but need some tips on where to go and what to see, I have free itineraries. I have all the Ireland travel facts you need. So from how to rent a car to how to find the best airfare to how to get euros and use the VAT, the value added tax, before you leave. So every, how do I do type of information is on there. I do Ireland vacation planning, where I work with you to create a custom itinerary that is perfect for your family, designed around your interests, any allergies, or things you want to do, things you don't want to do, anything like that. I have my book, Planning the Ireland Vacation of Your Dreams, which is a step-by-step guide to planning your vacation in Ireland, kind of walks you through everything from when to go to what happens when I get back. And then I also lead a tour once a year. And that's coming up in early end of August, early September.
Right there.
So I can help you with anything.
Sure. Yes. And I know that since I posted this on Facebook and Twitter this morning, I have heard from at least 10 people who went, Jody, help me plan my vacation to Ireland. And I just love her. And so she comes highly recommended, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have the opportunity between August 29th and September 6th to head to Ireland, Jody would love to have you come with her. And
3 spaces left. I actually sold out that tour at the end of December, just not even 2 months after I opened it. But I was talking with the driver guide company I use, and they said, well, we can upgrade you from the 10-seat bus to a 13-seat bus. So I do have 3 seats left, and then that is it. It is sold out for the year. So.
Oh, all right, guys, let's sell this sucker out. We can do it. That's very cool. I have enjoyed over the last week or so looking at your blog and listening to your podcast and enjoying your YouTube channel and just watching videos and listening to you talk about Ireland. Your passion is so easy to see. And I have just appreciated it so much. Justin and Christina's RV and van life is sharing some of his things in there. The Giant's Causeway is very interesting.
It is.
See.
And there's a great hike there.
Oh, is there? I
know you're all about the hiking, and we haven't even touched on that. But most people, when they visit the causeway, they walk down and they see the stones and they leave. But on the cliffs above, there's an amazing hike. And it's a coast hike, and it goes for, there's the shortest one I think is about 5 kilometers. Obviously you can do little bits of it. But gosh, it's a beautiful hike. So
that's cool.
And you can get away from the crowds because there's really very few people up there.
So that reigns true no matter where. You get away from the main site by about 150 yards and the crowd goes away.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So I have one last question for you. And if you folks in the chat have any questions for Jody, please be sure to ask those more. We've run out of time. It's only a 30-minute show. Reminder. So in planning vacations for others, what have you found that most people want to do? So what is the things? So
most people, when they start planning their vacation, they're easily overwhelmed because even though Ireland is very small, for US based people, it's roughly the size and shape of Indiana. So it's a small country, but it's incredibly full of experiences and attractions and historic sites and history. It's just an amazingly abundant place. So most people have become overwhelmed when they start planning because there is so much to see and do. The number one thing people usually want is culture. They want to experience the culture, they want to meet the people, and they want to see music in a pub. Those are all very easy to accommodate, but most people also have a mentality of I want to see and do it all. And that's where the problem comes in, because you cannot see and do all of Ireland in a week, in 10 days, in 2 weeks, in even a month. I have been going there for 20 years, staying a month to 6 weeks at a time, once, twice, 3 times a year, and I haven't seen it all yet. So the biggest problem when people are planning their vacation is trying to do too much. My answer to that is to really slow down. You're not going to see and do it all, but you need to really enjoy and experience the places that you do stop to see. You don't want to be like, okay, I have to kiss the Blarney Stone at 10 a.m. and then I have to be to the Ring of Kerry by 2 p.m. and then I need to go to this dinner at 8 p.m. You're not going to do it. Those 3 things, you're not going to do it. It's impossible. So slow down, experience, and enjoy, which is where my Ireland itineraries come in. They are set up to guide you through the areas, to make you slow down, to give you the time to experience those things that will really make you feel like you've been to Ireland. The crack in the pub and the live music and, meeting the people that you're seeing at the castles and even sitting in a pub, really sitting down, talking, enjoying everything Ireland has to offer, because in all honesty, it's not a fast-paced place outside of the cities. Ireland is very relaxed, very slow-paced, and when you travel there, you need to make yourself, slow down.
Cool. Yeah, I've found that same with traveling everywhere, but I mean, I guess like a city when I tell people, oh, I'm going to give you an itinerary or whatever, some ideas for St. Louis, it's a city, it's a small one, but it's a
Mhm.
city. You know, there's so much to do.
Mhm.
And, you know, even though it's a faster pace, you still need to take it all in and
Right.
things like that.
Right. Well, and you're on vacation, for goodness sake.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yes, there's just so much. And everybody wants to do everything because they think that it's, you
It's a
know,
once in a lifetime trip.
once in a lifetime trip. Well,
But
Jody's here to tell you that it's
well,
not.
but even
That's not.
even if you do make, even if it is your once in a lifetime trip, you want to have great memories of it. You don't want to remember all I did was drive. I didn't, I saw this, but I didn't. I I took a picture. I rushed through it because I had someplace else to be. Um,
Right.
there are areas that you can visit. The Burren in West County Clare, which is where you'll find the Cliffs of Moher, or Killarney, which is kind of the central town that leads out to the Ring of Kerry or the Dingle Peninsula. Either one of those places, you could spend your entire vacation, never feel like you're missing anything that Ireland has to offer, and just enjoy the area. Become a local in the pub for a few nights. Just at both places, you're going to see great castle ruins, amazing history, incredible coastal views, beautiful cliffs. I mean, you don't have to rush all over the country to experience everything Ireland has to offer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, I'm gonna. I'm done with questions, but I want you to just share whatever you'd like
Well,
with our viewers.
since you're Happy Trails hiking, I thought I would share a few of my favorite cliff walks in Ireland,
Yay!
because it is an island,
Uh-huh.
and it is surrounded by water, and there are so many great cliff walks. So I thought I'd share a few of my favorites.
Sure, do it.
So we're going to start in Dublin and kind of go around clockwise.
Okay.
So if you head south to Dunmore East, so Dunmore East is a little seaside village in County Waterford, and they have an amazing cliff walk. The great thing about Dunmore East is that it doesn't see like international tourists. Really, the only people who vacation there are the Irish. So if you go, you're not really going to run into a lot of tourists. And the cliff walk there is absolutely incredible.
Cool.
Moving down from that, just a wee bit actually, you're going to end up in Ardmore. Now, Ardmore is another beautiful fishing village. It has a coastal walk that goes around the cliff and ends. Well, it'll either start or end at a round tower, depending on which way you take the walk. But that's where St. Declan set up his monastery. So it's a really important religious site. The round tower is stunning, and you have church ruins and things like that throughout this cliff walk. It's a beautiful, beautiful walk.
Cool.
From there, you head over into Cork and the Sheep's Head Peninsula, and this is actually a very narrow peninsula, and the Sheep's Head Way is very long, but there is a great little day hike down to the end of the peninsula that goes from On Cup and Tea, which is a charming little tea shop, out to the signal light or the lighthouse.
Oh, I love
And
lighthouses.
the great thing about getting out to this walk is that you don't encounter large vehicles. It is a very small, very narrow road. So you're not getting tour buses out that way. And it's a great little walk. It's 2 kilometers as the crow flies, with all the ups and downs and arounds. I think it's probably closer to 4,
Oh, wow.
but a great, great walk. From there, we're going to head, obviously, the Dingle Peninsula, Ring of Kerry, both have great walks. Those are very popular areas, though. So unless you want to run into a lot of tourists, avoid those. The same up by the Cliffs of Moher. The Cliffs Coastal Walk has gotten very popular in the last couple of years. I was just there in January, and they're having a lot of trouble safety-wise with that walk. So it's a beautiful walk. I don't recommend it for children probably under 13 right now, but it's a great walk from Doolin to the south past the cliffs. Next, we'll head way up to Donegal. And that is where you'll find the Schlieve Cliffs. They are actually higher than the Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, wow.
And they have a great mountain walk. So these are really rugged mountains. It's not a walk for everybody, but is absolutely beautiful. You want to plan a full day for it. And there's some church ruins up along One Man's Pass that are definitely dramatic. And then we're back to the Causeway Coast. So those are just a few of my favorite walks along the cliffs in Ireland.
And now I have a list. That's so fun. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jody. It's been wonderful talking with you.
Thanks so much for having me. I could go on and on, but I see we've already killed your time.
We have. It goes by so fast. And I'm glad we covered my questions. But if you all have questions, be sure to ask them in the comments after this is posted. And thanks so much, Jody. I'm going to finish out the show if you'll hang out for just a second.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. I need you to do several things for me. One, go over to Jody's YouTube channel, subscribe if you want to know more about Ireland, and who doesn't, and go see her on her website and say hello and tell her you saw her on Happy Trails Hiking. 2, hit the like button. Please share this out with other people who might want to travel to Ireland, and come back and leave a comment that will let YouTube know that you like stuff that I'm doing here and that more people need to see it. And 3, go out and live the life you love today. And remember, you are not replaceable. And I will see you later this week.